I want to tell you guys all very, very much welcome to Free Talk with Mr. B. I am Mr. B, and I'm looking forward to being on this panel.
I think we lost your voice.
Is it still speaking?
So Sameena, it's all for you.
Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. I think, Mr. B, we lost your voice for a bit just before I started. So that's okay. Do you want to start recording again, or we would continue with this? I think we're losing Mr. B's voice in between, right? You guys can hear him?
No.
Are you speaking right now? I can't hear him say anything right now.
I wasn't saying anything right now, so
I think we should start over again because I'm so sorry. We lost you in between. Yeah,
maybe give it another start.
I actually believe that things could go as they do. Like, for example, you remember watching the film Stones, and they had to put their feet in the bottom of the car and make it move. And so, no, they didn't get much. They didn't get many restarts. But I'm very, very glad that you all are here and looking forward to talking. I become one of the panel members too, so I can engage. And as the moderator, we turn it over to Sameena.
Sure. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to one more episode of Free Talk. And I'm very glad to welcome and introduce Mr. Mohammed Kavi, who has joined us as our guest speaker today, along with Ms. Dedra Stevenson, who's been our speaker for the last few episodes, along with Mr. B. So the topic for today is, do we need an intent before giving back? Before we get into the actual topic, I would invite Mr. Mohammed Kavi to introduce himself, tell us a little bit about what he's doing and who he is, and also share his perspective on the topic to start with. Mr. Kavi, can we hear from you?
Absolutely. First, hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the kind invitation. And I always say, thank you for your time, the people who are watching, the people who are listening, and I want to promise you that I value your time and the time that you are giving us, and we will try to give you as much value as we can in this few minutes. First, to introduce myself, I'm Mohammed Kavi. I'm a Tunisian. I'm a computer engineer by trade. Lately, I've been specialized in building personal brands for people. I help people to find their brand story, their strategy on social media, because I believe that the internet has to be filled with positive thinking. And I believe in every person to have some thought, and I want everybody to be a thought leader. And I generally believe that every person has something to share. Doesn't matter if they found it or not. And something I say is for every person that you have a brand. Either you know it or not, you have a brand for people, and people know you somehow. And that's probably a topic for another discussion.
We like that one too.
Great. We can have that discussion as well. For the intent, I was inclined to say that intent is overly used lately, but then I want to take it back and say that it is not enough used. Intent is extremely important, and I don't think most of people understand it. Today, if you pick any book about personal development, the first chapter will be about intent and intention, and rightfully so. It's not wrong to write that, but I'm coming from an Islamic background, so we have been raised talking about intent and intention, and intent is honestly the most important pillar in Islam, for example, we have what we say the duties, and the one common point between all of them is intent. You cannot pray without intent. You cannot fast without intent. You cannot perform the pilgrimage without intent. It is the first thing. And the intent here, it's about how pure it might be or not. It has to be always pure. And the one thing that I share with most of the people I know is intent doesn't mean that you have one intent. You can have multiple intents for one deed. Meaning, I'm on this call. What might be my intent? I might have an intent to share value. That's one. I might have an intent to meet with my fellow panelists. I might have an intent to be known by you. And maybe also my intent is that you know my internet presence. So I can do one thing, but the reward or the value will come from all of my intents. The trick here is to be clear about my intents, because many people will go on and put effort and investment and money and time, and because they didn't have any intent, whatever they might have done will go unnoticed. They will not receive what they would have wished for, and then they will get disappointed. But in the beginning, they were not clear about what they were looking for, and that's why nothing probably will not have happened.
Right. It is very compatible with the art of giving back, because the last week, Sameena, you asked me why we included that as a nugget, having intent or questioning whether or not we need intent in giving back. And I said my interest was in being a very good person, or as good a person as I could be, because that was annexed to chapter 3, which was my desire to find a good wife. And so I knew I was looking for a good wife, so I had to be a good person. So my intent of giving back my smile and giving back my attitude and so on was so I can get something back. I did have an intent when I approached it. So thank you for saying that, Sameena.
Yes, absolutely. I so much agree with both of you. Like Mr. Kabi also mentioned, and you just mentioned, the intent is definitely very important, without which maybe we will not be able to understand clearly, what exactly happened to our efforts of whatever we tried to do. Well, yes, having said that, let's hear from Ms. Dedra. What do you feel about what was just said by Mr. Kabi as well as Mr. B?
Well, I have to agree that intention is incredibly important, and also being, in a part of the Islamic faith, it is absolutely true that everything we do starts with an intent, and we can't, perform our duties without that. But you have to be also honest with yourself, I think. I think that maybe, I had discussed with you that I actually had a comment, directed, to me after our last session, that sometimes there is a darker side, of what people may do to do good deeds in the world, but they have the intention of showing off, or, it's a vanity kind of thing, and they do it just for that. And I think that, yes, I mean, we should say the intent in our minds and our hearts, but it's also very important that you realize that God can tell when you're lying. So you have to be brutally honest. Like, am I really doing this to have people think I'm amazing, or am I doing this for the right reasons? Am I doing it just because it is a good thing to do? And also our faith dictates that it is fine to tell people about what you do if you think that maybe you would inspire others to follow the same pattern. Like, for example, if you go and, feed people on, after at iftar, the workers, that sort of thing. If you're showing yourself on social media, for example, like doing that sort of thing, if you think that maybe people would say, oh, wow, that looks like a good idea, I think I want to go do that too, then it's great. Then you should be sharing it. You should be telling. But if you're just sort of prancing around, saying, wow, look at me, look at what a wonderful person I am in every possible way, then you're really just squandering, I think the act. I'm just
Exactly.
trying to show you that there's two sides to every coin. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be incredibly clear.
Yes, absolutely. Just before we started our conversation today for the podcast, we were having the exact same conversation, Mr. Kabi, Mr. B, as well as myself. And I gave the exact example of, if having fed a group of laborers, maybe, and then if I want people to join me in doing this good deed, I would put it up on my social media, encourage them.
Of course.
So just as we're speaking about that, I think we should talk a little bit more about it and help people understand our tone, the way we communicate, and what exactly is the difference. Hi, Mia. Thanks for joining us. There, Mia's joined
Hi,
us.
Mia.
Hi, Mia.
Hi. Assalamu alaikum and hello.
Walaikum salam. Yes, we're just talking with our guest, Mr. Muhammad Kabi, today. And we were just sharing our perspectives on the intent of giving back, along with trying to help our audience understand what is the right tone, what are the right words, and what is exactly the difference between encouraging people to join us in our intent or just displaying what we are doing.
Yeah.
So, we're just talking about that. Mr. Kabi, what do you have to say about it?
I was saying actually 1 second that inside of the nugget, the book itself that was on page 23, brought up again something I say on stage even, where there is more joy in giving than in receiving. And so what I was writing in the book too was the intent of getting that joy. I thought there was nothing wrong with having that as an intention, having that as a goal setting. So if you want joy and you know where it comes from, go get it. So, Mohammed?
By giving.
Yeah, if it's by giving, sometimes we need to get some joy from receiving. So don't get me wrong, because there's more joy in giving than in receiving. So there's a lot of joy in receiving, but we think there is more joy in giving. So we need both. So if your intention is getting joy, you need to participate in those two functions. You can be joyful by receiving, but more joyful by giving.
Yes.
Mohammed?
It is incredibly heartwarming, to do a kind act for another person and to see the results of that, in their lives. It really is. There's no denying that it just warms your heart. And I mean, I can literally feel the cartoon hearts popping off my head, I mean, and it's all warm and fuzzy and everything. And that's actually a good intention by itself. And I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying the feeling of that. I mean, I think as human beings, as a human family, it is important to experience that, because at the end of the day, we are brothers and sisters everywhere in the world, right? I mean, honestly, that was part of my intention when I wrote my cookbook, Breaking Bread Around the World. I wanted to show people cuisines from all around the globe so that we remember that, at the end of the day, we're all families, we're all people, and we sit down to dinner with our kids and our neighbors. And, I mean, we shouldn't think of ourselves as, oh, they're from this country or that country or this culture or that culture. It's not our differences that matter, I mean, we all love good food, and there's no better way to make friends than to sit down to a good meal. Right?
I may.
I have to agree, and I have to say that sometimes when we give and we go out to do some of the work that we do, especially here, and we go to the townships where it's literally areas that people are really almost forgotten areas. So the intent behind what I, for example, would go to do is to bring the joy or to offer what they don't have. The return and the kickback, so to speak, for me is the unexpected joy I feel when I give. So sometimes your intent to give is not necessarily what your expected return of joy is. And that just motivates you to keep going. And then people start to realize, by you actually being the leading example of the art of giving, they look at you and say, well, if she can do it, I want to try and do something. And then I have lots of people say, well, the next time you're doing, can I help you or can I do it? because they want to feel and that, you know, express and experience the same thing. So that is really, really intense. It's beautiful.
Great. If I may take it somewhere else, because here I'm thinking about the listeners and the people who are watching us, and I assume that none of them is giving for the sake of showing off. In fact, they might be in the place of seeing people who might seem for them as showing off. So I want to share with them, I think in this life, we are going through a journey, and it's never black or white. And our intent is not 0 or 1. Sometimes it's 0.2 pure, sometimes it's 0.9 or a full 1 pure. And the beauty of this life is that we are all struggling to get as pure as we can. And there are some days where we are really at the maximum, and some days we feel down, and some days we are doing something good and we really feel it in our hearts that we did good. And some days we don't know. So please know that we are all the same. Doesn't matter. This doesn't matter about who you are, how old you are, your color of skin, your faith, anyone you might be. This life is a journey, and it has ups and downs. So
I love that.
Thank you. So when you set
lovely.
and when you see people giving, please assume the best. We are not here to judge. And please know that we are all struggling to have a better intent, to have a purer intent if possible. And if we were all capable of having the purest intent all the time, then what would be life, right? It would be boring. This life is in ups and downs, and that's why we enjoy it.
Sameena?
I'm just listening to the variations of perspectives, you know, and it really got me thinking, like I said before the podcast as well. And I do believe that, yes, while this is very true, that we all need to ensure that we understand the person who is doing it in the right way. Whoever it is, yes, we've done something, but I also believe that the actions the person continues to do every day in their daily lives should not just be limited to the good actions on that one day when you're giving back and then you become a bad person and you're talking roughly to people and all of that. I think that's very, very important that you continue to watch your actions, because you need, Mr. Kabi said, we all are here trying to be the best version of what we can. And we need to maintain our actions consistent.
I agree. I agree totally. And just to add a little bit to that would be that when we have to be a little bit aware of our actions and we know that this is what we need to be, remember, being is not just for the moment. When we, for example, if I have to stand on a stage to give a motivational talk or whatever it may be, yes, there are hundreds of people watching me at that point. But when I get off the stage, I expect to still be the same person no matter where I'm going. So you lead by example, but you lead by example for yourself and your life first. And when that happens, people then will be watching, and then you're leading by example for them. But you have to maintain your own self-integrity, your own self-belief, and maintaining that. For example, if we give and we keep giving, and this is what we do, remember, we're not doing it because we want A, status, or B, the recognition. But when we get it, and it's the universe that's saying thank you, and when you remain in that frame of being, that is who you are on a daily basis. When somebody just ad hocly meets you in the mall and they actually realize, wait, that same person I saw on stage is actually the same person in person, they realize, wait, it's actually so humbling. It's actually okay. So you lead by example by being, and being who you have to be best for you. And I love that. Thanks, Sister Sameena.
Can I just play devil's advocate one more time, though, just to throw a little, you know, we got to do both sides of every coin. I mean, that's just good discussion. What do you feel about people who do a lot of good things, good deeds, but they do it secretly? I mean, is it better, you know, to do it secretly without telling a soul what they've done?
May I?
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Right. I'll come to your questions, and I want to lead with something. it seems like when we talk about intent here, it's intent of a deed. How about the intent of your life? What's your project, you know, for this, the whole life? Because when I say I do personal branding, it's a brand story. I believe that we need to have a full project of the life, and then whatever we do day by day is helping and supporting that project. And coming back to Dedra's question, and thank you very much for that question. In fact, going back to the Islamic faith, it's a well-known that there are 7 who will be under the shade of God when there is no shade than his. And one of them is when his left spends and his right doesn't know what he spent.
Exactly.
So what I mean here, we should have a balance. We do things and we show people to inspire and to show the path. And there are so many stories about when you have secret deeds between you and your creator.
Yes.
And you need to have a bank of those, because even for yourself, you know, the hardest thing in life is when you are not content with yourself, is when you feel disappointed about yourself. That's the hardest thing in life, because that's like a break. You cannot move forward. And if your brain, when whatever you do, you show off, your brain will remind you of these. So everyone, we should have a balance. You show and you hide. You cannot live with only one.
That's what I was hoping you would say. Because I'm completely on the same page, actually. I think we need both, actually. I mean, things that we just do just for our own heart and our connection to the creator, whomever you believe that to be in whatever faith you are. You just do it for your own soul, just to feel, you know, that. But then there's some that maybe you just want to set a good example for other people, and that might be something also good, you know.
That gave me an opportunity for a commercial moment, because when I was writing the book, The Art of Giving Back, I wanted to know, when did I start giving back and why? And so that motivated me to get the information on the book. And then I got the nuggets out and I'm asking, what was my intentions? So after every paragraph, like I mentioned earlier, the paragraph about looking for a good wife, I wrote the intentions of why I was behaving the way I was. And so it's, I think it's pretty neat to have a variety of intentions, and it's okay to have your secret intentions and your public intentions. Now, just again, being an advocate for one point or another, Sameena, I'm asking, is there anything wrong with a big company putting their name on the side of their building because they were giving back to the community? If that was their intention, to let it be known that they're the ones doing that, what's wrong with that?
Okay, there are two perspectives here. When a corporate company is doing something in terms of corporate social responsibility initiative, you know, in today's world, there's something called corporate citizenship. In the other words, where you're encouraging your own employees to be good corporate citizens by doing something good for the community, for the environment, or even including people and helping small scale industries on whatever they can, so they will earn a sustainable living in future. So like we earlier spoke, that we are giving back to ensure that there is a sustainable future for our future generations. So when a corporate is doing something and they're putting up their name on that initiative or displaying it somewhere, I think it's okay, because they're doing it for their governance requirements. But for an individual, I think the discussion we've just had, that we just need to have a balance in terms of, you know, how much of it we say and how much of it we keep it secret. It's up to the individual, and our actions speak louder than words. I think that will take care of it. We don't need to really go and tell someone what, why, and how we're giving back to the society.
Mia? Mia?
Mia, can you
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to add two things. One is that my life's example or experience. there was a lot that was being done by me, for example, and I'm using myself as the life lesson in what I'm about to say, that when COVID hit us here in this country, a lot of the lockdown issues were not just about being locked down. It was about people that suddenly never had, people that just were lost totally. So without me knowing that people were watching or that anyone was taking cognizance of what I was doing, I pulled together a team. I went and I met, well, you know, I didn't go out, but I mean, I telephoned people, tried to get people together, got some amazing donors, sponsors, and we started a whole project of going out to do stuff. And it carried on for months. This is also something I've been doing throughout my life, so to speak. But when I eventually got awarded, when I saw articles come up, that was not my intention behind what I was doing. I didn't know someone was watching me. I didn't know someone was noticing me, let alone somebody sitting in the USA, for goodness sake. And I'm in this little mini town in South Africa doing what I'm doing. But why I'm picking that up and why I'm mentioning it is because my intention behind what I was doing was purely for the sake of the people I was going to help because of the help they needed. However, what happened beyond that with the sponsors from the corporate point of view, and what happened beyond that from the international community's point of view is not what I intended, although that was given back to me tenfold. So it does have its work that goes around. So you might not intend for something to come back tenfold to benefit you or others around you, but it does. But I do want to touch on something, and that is that a lot of the times I have experienced, sometimes a sponsor would ask us, can you please take a photograph and send it to us of what work you are doing? And one of my biggest principles is that I do not photograph the people I serve. I will not do it. If you give me a packet full of 20 groceries to give to a family, I will take a picture of the grocery on the ground at the door and that's it. But the people in the home, you will never get a photograph from me. So if you want to work with me, know that that is my rule, because I respect the people and I respect their integrity. So from a corporate point of view, as much as some of them are out there to do it for their corporate social event or whatever it is that they need to put down on their books, they need to also understand that people's integrity on the ground is what matters a lot. So on the scale, that's why I agree with Brother Muhammad was saying also, there is this balance that we need. Firstly, it's done for me, that I need to know that I'm doing this for my reasons, my purpose, my intent. But when it's somebody else who's helping me to aid someone, they also need to respect what my intent is and what my barrier is. Because I will not put up somebody's kids and their family as your advertising for you to gain money to help me. No, if that's the case, then I will try and find somebody else. So that's how it also works when it comes to actual deeds that are being done.
Great.
So you have to be aware, I think. You have to be a little bit mindful and aware that sometimes intentions may not be altruistic altogether. It could be a desire to have sort of a free advertisement, you know, to make themselves look a certain way, to have a certain image, you know. And I know, Dr. Muhammad, I'm really sorry to I know you said that we should always think of everybody as having the best intention, but there's also, you also do need to be, I think, you know, we should be a bit aware, you know, that people are human after all, and there are some out there that will take advantage of that. And also, we shouldn't judge a book by its cover. I mean, you know, you meet sometimes the people that look the shadiest, but they're actually the kindest hearted, most giving people that you ever met in your whole life, you know, and you would never know it unless you took a longer look, you know. But then those that say how amazing they are and how much they give and how much they do and how good they are, and then they're the most horrible things go on behind closed doors, you know. I mean, you just don't know, you know. And we shouldn't judge. You're totally right. I get you, and I respect what you said, and it's true. But I'm just here to say, you know, like in every good discussion, there's always got to be that other side, you know. I'm sorry, I'm playing devil's advocate today.
It was so enjoyable. We do want you to have the last word, and also tell, while you're giving your last comments, tell everyone where they can find you for some of the work you do, because I think you're also professional in your work.
Thanks, Dr. B. Thanks, Dedra. In fact, thanks, but I'm not a doctor. I hope that maybe one day I will get it.
Sorry, I had that wrong.
No worries. Thank you very much. Thanks. It's I had a thought I wanted to share with you. It's in my work as a personal branding consultant. Many people, I want to become an influencer. I tell them, wait a minute. Linguistically, if you influence one person, then you are an influencer. You don't. It's not about numbers. It's influencer means that you have influenced. So it's not about having thousands and millions of followers. And here in this life, we are influencing either online or offline, and we are teachers. And teachers, the best thing is when they share, they don't tell.
Very good.
And that's why when we show when we are doing good, that's what teaches others. That's what helps others, inspires others, pushes them. Because now I'll join you in being the devil's advocate. I believe that in life, there is a race. There is a race between good and evil. And there are a lot of sayings in the literature where, let's say you have a recipient that is empty. If you put good in it, it accepts it. But if it had some bad in it already, it will not absorb it as good as the first time. So the race is you have this ball and you want to fill it with good as fast as possible. But the real of the matter now today is with the internet, we are flooded. And many times it's challenging for us to know what's good and what's bad. So what's our duty here? Our duty is to do as much as we can to fill the internet and life with good. We don't sit idle and start judging or criticizing. That's good, that's bad, that's good. It's like we are swiping left and right. No, in fact, our duty, and I believe that there is a big responsibility for all humankind, and many people, unfortunately, they have bailed out because they went into this consumerism. They are just consuming data and content instead of producing, instead of putting their fingerprints, and instead of sharing their thought leadership online and helping us win this race of flooding life and internet with good. And that's my mission in life. I hope I can help every person discover their brand stories and flood the internet. And many times I say it's not for me, it's for my daughters, it's for our children.
Very good.
It's for
where
our
can
kids.
where can they
Exactly.
find you? Where can they find you?
My name is Mohammed Kaabi, so it's Kaabi. On Instagram, it's Kaabimo. And on Instagram, there is a link that can lead you to all of my online presence, my YouTube, my Facebook, my LinkedIn. So just search for Kaabimo, Kaabimo, on Instagram. And then from there, send me a message, or you can find all of my links.
Very good, very good. And I love when you're doing it for your daughters. Like I was writing my book for my grandchildren, so it's wonderful,
Right.
Wonderful. Any last words, Sameena, as we can wrap up?
Yes, I think we've had a very productive conversation today on this topic, and I really learned a lot myself. I hope my viewers also share the same with me. Thank you so much for all those interesting thoughts and perspectives. I really, really appreciate all of you being here with us. Thank you so much, guys.
And it's such a
Here's
pleasure.
to the light workers.
and it's such a pleasure to have all of you on with me. I love being on the panel. I love having Sameena moderate and Dedra, Mia, and thank you so much, Mohammed, for coming on. Next week, we're going to be, you're welcome. Next week, we're going to be covering the topic about compliments. And it was one of the nuggets where, and since the book was talking about aspects of my life, I had to grow up along the way. So I gave compliments, and I'm not sure if they always landed well. They may have backfired. So I wanted to make sure one of the nuggets were when compliments go wrong, which is a form of giving back when things did not go as you intended. So you can see sequentially, we spoke about humility, Then we talk about a family where a spouse is trying to build a family on both sides of the spouse spectrum. And then we spoke about our intention. And next week, or the next 2 weeks, we're going into where we could make some mistakes by even giving compliments in error. So we'll continue and speak about the life issues and continue to discuss the art of giving back right here on Free Talk with Mr. B. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing all of you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.